Oh, it's episode 19 of Trifecta Talks.
You caught a case of episode 19 of Trifecta Talks.
It's right, Brian. And I'm going to pass it on to you guys
Now we're all going to get the episode 19.
of Trifecta Talks. Welcome to the chat. How y'all doing?
We're great. Doing awesome.
Doing
right here.
solid.
This will be it's going to be a fun day. Fun night. Sorry, fun night.
Fun day, fun night. Depending on where you're at, it could be whatever kind of day it is.
That's
Mhm.
right.
We already got some people in the chat. Mad Hair is back. Let us peep the horrors. She brought out the word peep again. Peep is the word of the day.
So happy to have you around. Oh my God, you make these shows a lot of fun, especially on a day like today where I'm feeling a little down because I'm just not feeling well today. Mad Hair, you definitely bring up the energy, so good on you.
Also, Kenny's here, and he says, "Wow, LOL," because he was just so impressed by my intro.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Top
If
5
there was-
intros that we've done.
If there was, yeah, I want that guy that does the Burger King thing. Top 5 intros, number 5. Burger King, or however it goes. Anyways, let's start off with this first. So we're skipping the games thing that we're playing. I think we're just gonna head straight into the main topic because I think that's what's on everybody's mind. And I think that for a lot of news, a lot of uncertainty, lots of good, lots of bad, lots of in the middle. It's very weird and trying times right now.
Yep.
So I'll start with this. Personally, I did not anticipate doing a video like this. I think the anticipation for everyone is that we were all going to come back. We were going to relay some great stuff and the excitement. And then that's not happening.
Yeah.
Not to say
Not
there
to-
aren't people excited. Not to say there aren't people excited. I'm excited for sure. And I think there's just still a lot of, like I said, uncertainty in the air still that might be cleared here a little bit. We're as we speak now, we're pulling a lot of resources and news because we're getting information like as of today, and I'm sure we're gonna still get more information as the weeks go on. So yeah, we'll just get started and open it to the floor because really this is just going to be a full-on discussion. And for anybody in the chat, please chime in. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well, because everybody's different on the whole matter. I mean, if you look at any social post, a lot of people have different views on it. A lot of people are also getting a lot of misinformation somewhere, and people are trying to resolve those misinformations. And it's really tough because unfortunately, the world we live in is, in some cases, social media is spread quick, like wildfire, to the point where some people are getting different information that doesn't even pertain to them. And especially in this case with the Switch, a lot of countries are dealing with different things pertaining to the system. And I guess this is just probably a great way to start is the pricing. I think we should just get that out of the way. That's just the elephant in the room right now. And I think if we might as well just get that off the table to begin with. So if you haven't heard,
In case you've been living under a rock for the last 7 days.
if you haven't heard, that in the US, so for those to put that out there, because I don't think that is also being put out there. We are in the US. We live in the US. We're not from the UK. We're not from Australia. We're not from Japan. In the US, the United States of America, the price of the console stands right now as $450 or $449.99 for the base console edition. That is without the Mario Kart game, just the console itself with all the peripherals from the Joy-Con, etc., so on and so forth. For an extra $50 for $499.99, you get a copy of Mario Kart World.
A digital copy.
Digital copy. The digital copy of Mario Kart 8 World. And then everything else that comes with the basic console base. So I think let's just start with that right off the bat, just that pricing point and where we land on that. And right now, obviously, this is the uncertainty because there's only so much we can talk about this price because things can change. Things are currently changing right now. It could stay, it could increase. Nintendo might hold on to the losses and keep it, or they might just inch it up a little bit more and still hold on to those losses. We really don't know until that day comes. So,
Or they hold off on releasing it in the United States altogether, and then they release it everywhere else. But they wait to release it here. I saw that theory going around for a bit that they might not release it here on June 5th, but it might go everywhere else on June 5th. That would be a crazy thing. That'd be wild.
it'd be pretty wild.
But not that wild,
right.
considering everything. Yeah, not that
Considering everything. And just to be clear on that, right? Since you mentioned that, right now it is still on the cards that Nintendo plans to make it a worldwide release June 5th.
Yep.
That is still on their cards and that's still on their table. There's no information about pre-orders yet, except for if you do it from the My Nintendo store. On the My Nintendo store, it still says emails will be sent May 8th for people who signed up to get notified. But as of now, there's no information about pre-orders right now. So things can change. Things can obviously change. Yeah. So I guess I'll just start first with the price, the current price that we know. So for me, I can't say I've done a lot of research comparing between other, like the Rogue Ally and the Steam Deck. I've only read and I've only seen comparison charts. I have not gone that nitty gritty. I know, Jared, you probably have a better understanding of this since you are you're looking to get a Steam Deck pretty soon. But from what I understand, from what I read, and maybe I'm totally wrong on this, but from what I read is that it kind of exceeds a little bit than the standard. I'm talking, hold on.
Yeah.
The not the OLED, the smallest one that they have,
help me out, the LCD.
the LCD version.
Yeah.
And yes, there is some varying factors, of course.
Yeah.
There's no doubt to that. But, some of the things that were pointed out is that, that one, as far as I'm aware, from what I read, it was that it's only a 800p screen. Is that correct?
Maybe. That might be right.
Okay.
I think so.
So it's
You're talking about the Steam Deck?
I'm talking about Steam Deck, yes.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's 800p, and I think it clocks in at 60 still. So, but obviously in handheld, we know that the Switch 2 is 1080 at 120 in handheld, which is
when games support that.
When games support that. So it's up to 1080, 120. But from what we've seen, a lot of them are taking that into consideration. I think the only one that confirmed that it's not is Cyberpunk. But I mean, we'll get to games more because there's some crazy things. I don't know what devs are doing, but they're making it work and it looks gorgeous. But so again, I'm not a PC player. Again, I'm more of a Nintendo person, so I'm going to lean more towards Nintendo just because I like the brand. I like the characters. You're not going to get it anywhere else.
Well, that's what Steam doesn't have, right? Is Nintendo.
Right.
They don't have Nintendo. So no matter what specs they have or the ROG Ally X has, whatever specs, great, but they don't have Nintendo. That's the one thing that Nintendo holds over everybody else, is that they are the last company standing when it comes to holding on to their properties the way that they have in terms of gaming.
Like proper exclusivity. Like they're the last ones to do it. And good for them, honestly.
Yeah. There's the incentive. To buy that.
Yeah.
For sure.
So with that all being said, I mean, yes, it's a big jump in pricing. I understand.
Yeah.
I completely get it. Nobody wants to pay that price. But if you really look at what it has to offer, to me at least, like, there's a lot going on in the handheld department, just the handheld alone, because they could have easily done it 1080, 60, or not even, I mean, the fact that like think about it if they put an OLED or if they added more stuff to it. You know, I think it would have jumped in price more, and that would have scared people away a little bit. I mean, if you think of it this way, and this is again another counter to it, and we can't confirm this yet, but you know, my thinking is that there's a little bit of inflation involved to the price. And the unfortunate part is that our paychecks have not reflected inflation. And that's just unfortunate, at least in the United States. And a lot of places too, as well. Like Canada is paying way more than...
Canada has always gotten screwed over when it comes to the tax. Always. At least in at our time of being alive, especially when it comes to video games, and even like housing stuff and all that, if we're pulling all that in, Canada's always gotten screwed.
Canada's, I think it's like their last I checked, somebody pre-ordered theirs for like almost $700.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
not worth it.
And again, I don't know what Canada's situation is. They might have a better, economy than we do. I don't know. I don't live in Canada, so I can't vouch. If I had a Canadian here, they'd probably tell me the real reasons.
Yeah, he's just sitting over here. Canadian over there. Hey.
I got him on speed dial. Let me call him up real quick. We call him the residential Canadian. He's always ready to go.
So I get a lot of people's frustration, and I think a lot of the frustration is so this was something I dwelled on a little bit, and I kind of understand people's frustration. And I think a lot of it is, if you think back to the, pandemic, when we were all locked in our houses and a lot of people bought Animal Crossing, that pulled in a lot of casual gamers, and a lot of people they might have bought the Switch, but I think a majority bought a Switch Lite. And later on, there was bundles for Switch Lite with Animal Crossing. So, people just viewed it as a very casual gaming console. They didn't view it as a high-performing console like the PS5 to the Xbox to even a PC now at this point. And I think that's where a lot of the criticism is drawing. I don't know these people that well enough to confirm that or deny it. But I think a lot of, if you know Nintendo, a lot of their audience is comfort casual gamers
who are loyal to those who are loyal to those characters and to the brand, which in turn really sucks for them, because when you are so loyal to a brand and you're so loyal to those characters in those video games, and then when that same company turns around and says, well, actually, we appreciate that, but we also are now going to charge you $80 for Mario Kart World. I don't know if people have been keeping up, but the Washington Post reported today in an interview with Doug Bowser the day before Nintendo pulled the pre-order date in the States, and justified the pricing of those of Mario Kart World at $80. So let me pull up exactly, because I don't want to misquote. I had it pulled up, now I don't. Variable pricing. We look at each game, really look at the development that's gone into the game, the benefit and the depth of the gameplay, if you will, the durability over time, and the repeatability of gameplay. I find that very interesting. As a business, totally justified. They are 100% allowed to do that if they feel that way. We as the consumer, which we all three of us are, and everybody, we're all consumers, we also have the say of being like, no thanks. I think they completely missed the ball on that pricing of Mario Kart. I think the narrative going around was that the reason why it was so high was because of these tariffs. But that statement coming out the day before completely throws that narrative out the water.
And that's the same for the consoles, not just,
That's what I mean. And it's not like Nintendo was quick to change that narrative, which frustrates me, because I was talking with my wife about that today. I was like, man, they had days to retract that. They had days to say whatever they wanted, but as a business, they didn't. The smartest thing they could have done as a business was do exactly that, not say a word. Just let the media and everything speak for itself. But now, with that statement coming out today from Doug Bowser from the Washington Post, to me, that should piss everybody off who wants to buy a Nintendo console. So saying that variable pricing, they can do that is crazy. They're allowed to, but you're allowed to say no. You can say no thanks and not buy it. Crazy. And now the Switch might become more expensive coming out the other side.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, Bri?
Oh, I was going to say is how I view this, and Jared, you'll 100% understand this. Brandon, Brandon, follow along. So
Follow along.
I compare the Switch pricing and what Bowser's got to say to professional sports contracts, right? So say like NFL, MLB, whatever, like whatever your go-to is. I'll say the NFL because this has been a big thing lately.
Yep.
Players who are constantly in contract negotiations, right? You try and get that player signed as quick as possible to a lower deal because once this guy gets signed to a huge deal, then everybody else is going to get these huge deals.
Yep.
So now Nintendo, I think they're just going to start a snowball effect now, unfortunately. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Like what you said, when we go out the other side, they could be more expensive. Maybe somehow it'll drop. I have no idea. It probably will not drop at all.
It won't drop.
It won't drop. But
there's no way.
Nintendo doing this now, I would not be surprised at all if we see Xbox and PlayStation, or hell, even like other future Steam Decks, whatever, skyrocket their prices simply because they can.
That's
and with
the thing.
Yeah, and it's like people are still gonna buy them, most likely, but it's unfortunate because it's kind of stinks to see Nintendo be the one to start it. But I mean, what are you gonna do? But I don't see it ever going down lower than that from here on out.
It's not gonna. And to your point, I actually want to read this quote that Doug Bowser, again, president of Nintendo America, said today. Asked about breaking the seal on higher game prices is part of its role as an industry leader. Nintendo, is that a part of their role? For, like you said, now everybody else is going to do it. And he said, quote, I think it's less about representing the industry. This is really about Nintendo deciding the right thing to do for its products or what the pricing should be for its products overall. He said, even in the previous generation, we had some variability. As a business, completely justified. They are allowed to do that. But again, as a consumer, that should piss you off as a consumer for Nintendo just to be like, any of this goodwill that they've built over this last generation, even with Tears of the Kingdom in particular, being 70, I think that was an easier pill to swallow for people because Tears of the Kingdom is phenomenal. So it's an easier pill to swallow when the quality of the game is as good as Tears of the Kingdom. It's a little bit harder to swallow when the game is $80 now, no matter what the game is. I don't think the pricing of the Switch console itself is the problem. I think $450 is fine. I actually don't think it's that bad. I think I said $350, which was a total pipe dream, but that was it was never
great.
That would have been crazy, right? I was like, they priced this thing at $350.
Wait,
but go ahead.
I was gonna say, wait for the Switch 2 Lite.
Yeah, right. $350 would be a steal. They would completely corner that handheld market again by that. Would they completely lose money? 100%. But $450 is actually, it's okay. Like, it's like, oh, all right. When you're comparing it, it doesn't have quite the same power as a PS5 or a Series X. At least that's how I perceived it, but maybe I missed something. But $450 is a little bit easier to swallow. As consumers, right? The harder bit is the $80. Donkey Kong being $70. Other games are $70, which, okay. But 80, come on. I think they just said, forget the consumer, forget our loyal fan base. Let's turn it around and let's give them the old reach around on the pricing of this game. Because, man, it is just, how do you justify that? How do you justify $80? No one, and the argument is games back in the day used to cost this much. Fair enough. But that was then, this is now. I don't know. Mario Kart World looks great. Mario Kart World looks phenomenal as a game.
Before we leave this, because I wanted to bring in the thing that you told me earlier this week, and I'd like for you to mention it here. I don't want to steal your thunder.
No. I don't know what I said.
Okay. Well, I'll say what you said. So basically, you suggested that And it's still plausible because I read an article today with Bill Trinan, who he's part of like the Nintendo of America localization team,
Sure.
basically. But he was also talking a little bit about the price point, the $80, and like you said, that's a business choice and stuff like that. But he also mentions, and we talked about this a little bit, that we should look forward to the direct that's happening fairly soon. And why I'm thinking of that and what you said is because you had the idea that, well, what if Nintendo is just pulling all the stops and giving you the DLC now? What if there is no additional thing to the game? What if it's all there in front of you day one of the launch?
That theory, somebody on YouTube, I wish I could remember who it was, said that in a video. And I was like, oh my God, that actually, okay. So what you're saying is that the game is the most complete version of Mario Kart. There's going to be any DLC released after, it won't be paid. It'll be completely free DLC. That at an $80 price point is a little bit easier to swallow. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, I do. That might contradict what I just said, but it is a little bit easier to swallow when you know that the content coming after is all going to be free. Once that content becomes paid after you've already just spent $80, that to me is a complete ripoff. You have just destroyed, and they did, I believe this, they destroyed any goodwill they had with their fan base after that. And on top of that, they're charging, what I read today, I don't know, I think it was confirmed, maybe not, $10 for that welcome tour nonsense. Yes. That should be a packing game. Nobody's gonna buy that. If you're gonna buy that, man, spend your $10 on 3 or 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks instead. Brandon's over there going, I'm totally gonna buy that.
Yeah. No, I'm a sucker. I think so. Let me going off that. Yep. I feel like there's a lot of outpour to that, and if Nintendo were to do anything at this point in the game, I think the only thing that they would do, and unfortunately you'd still have to technically pay for it, but you'd get it for free if you were a Nintendo Switch Online member. I think.
Yeah.
I know it's not the greatest deal, but I mean,
if they don't raise the price of the Nintendo Switch Online, if they keep the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack at $60, and that's it,
50
or 50. Thank you. If they don't raise that price and they leave it with GameCube coming, which is awesome, and we can get into the nitty gritty of the actual direct itself in a minute. But I think we should. But if they don't raise that price and they then throw all of the Mario Kart stuff in there, I think that's easier. But again, for those who don't, you still have to pay for that extra stuff. So I think that in itself is a problem,
right?
With the current the situation. Brian, what are your thoughts, man?
I think what blew me away the most was not even like the console price is crazy alone. Mario Kart, $80. I think that's another one where it's like, oh we can do it just cause,
That's literally how it's interpreted in that interview with Bowser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. But like you were saying, it would feel more justified if everything that came out like after the game was like just in that game alone, free DLC, updates, everything. There's no extra cost for that. But we're kind of seeing what Nintendo's doing with extra costs with certain other things. We'll delve into a little more. So I can't fully say like, oh, this for sure they're gonna do that, because I don't know. It's leading more towards just paid DLC and them saying it's $80 because it's $80 because we're Nintendo.
But Nintendo did that. Maybe Brandon might not agree with this statement, but maybe this is a discussion for a different day. But it's okay if you don't agree. It's totally fine. It seemed like in the last generation, when it came to a lot of their games, other than like your Mario Odysseys, your Zeldas, Kirby Forgotten Lands, all like their sports games in particular, last generation, I would refer to as last gen, the Switch generation, half baked at launch and half baked DLC. after. Oh, you paid for it $60. Well, here's all this later. We'll factor it in later. Nintendo Switch Sports having golf as an added DLC later is bullshit. It's what are we doing? And that's the thing. I think it makes Nintendo complacent and lazy. And we'll get into that. I think that statement right, laziness from Nintendo. And we'll get into that when we talk about the Direct itself, because that's the one word I would use to describe this Direct. While it has good stuff, lazy. And I'll get to what I mean by that later.
And I think they're just getting right now. I think they know they realize now that their other competitors, Xbox, PlayStation, are more. They're combining, like they're teaming up more now, right? So, and they're delving more into PC stuff. Nintendo has, I think, gotten comfortable as basically winning the console war, quote unquote, and so now they basically have the whole console, like the people who prefer the console generation, they have Nintendo to look at and be like, they're still making their own stuff that's not going anywhere. They're not letting anybody else touch it. And now with that, they're like, oh, we're gonna take even more of your money. I hope that's not the idea, but it's tough to not see it like that.
For a company that says that they are all about family and consumer and being for their fans.
They've always been like that too.
They've always said that, but every step of the way, every decision that they've made, and maybe in like the last 5 years or so, and maybe even 10, and maybe since the Wii U, I'd be curious to see what Brandon's response is when I ask him, is this another Wii U situation that we're going to see play out with the Switch 2 over time? Not at launch, because I think the Switch 2, no matter what the price is going to be wildly successful at launch. I'm talking over time, will it be a Wii U? But for a company that has this narrative that they are for the family, for the casual, for our brand, they have done everything in their power to completely take that narrative and spin it and throw it right back at you and say, actually, we're not. We're greedy. They are being so greedy with this, I think. And I was I was on the fence about it with all the recent tariff stuff and all that until that interview came out today, and I was like, okay, that's it. Yeah,
he should have just lied. He should have just lied.
Literally, he said the thing out loud. He said the thing everybody was thinking out loud. It's crazy. You are the president of a multi-billion-dollar company, and we justify it based on whatever we want. Fine, but in the midst of all of this craziness, that does not make Nintendo look good. I don't know what the response to that is. I haven't seen any response. I don't know. Maybe Brandon saw. I haven't seen the response to that interview. What people are saying. All I've seen is, "Hey, this happened. This interview happened." But the actual response, I don't know. I don't know what the consensus is on that interview. But man,
it's not good.
Yikes!
Not good. Yikes is right.
Catching up on chat. Matt Hare says. Matt Hare in the beginning said tariffs are backing everything up. Big stinky. Agreed. Game Guy says, who wins in a fight, Reggie Fils-Aimé versus Doug Bowser? Reggie. He's the one that pushed. Well, no, he's the one that pushed Wii Sports to be a free title with the Wii. So that's +1 for him. Let's see. Yeah, so Matt Hare says Reggie immediately. Game Guy says, hell yes, his body was ready for it. Matt Hare says Reggie's finisher is a hard cut to an uncomfortable scowl from Miyamoto. Game Guy says, what would Doug Bauer's ultimate smash be? He says it's Bowsen time, and then he trips on a loose board.
Throws a $90, throws not an $80 game at you. That's what he'll do. But is it that crazy to think about that people would pay that? Because I just occurred to me just now, and I don't know why we didn't mention this before. People pay that crazy number to play games early, to pay for DLC, microtransactions in their game. So is it really that crazy of Nintendo to put out a game at $80? Probably not. And then I just find it interesting. It just occurred to me now. So maybe my whole point just got thrown out the window, but now it's like people are paying crazy stuff to play the game early. But then when Nintendo comes right out and says it, hey, we're going to charge this, people are like, oh my God. But those people are probably going to go spend $120 on the next NBA, the next Madden game, going to put a bunch of money into Fortnite, going to go to buy a bunch of loot boxes, you know, and spend double that. That's just the market.
That's very true.
It's the market. So is that crazy? Probably not. Should they have done it? I think no. I think they had an opportunity. They wasted an opportunity to corner that market. They came out at 450. Okay, that's a little high, but you know, and then they say the games are 60 or even 70. People have been like, perfect, let's go, you know. And then the pricing for all their accessories has always been crazy for years. Ever since the Wii, it's always been crazy. $90 Joy-Cons. $90 Joy-Cons this time around. That's crazy. I don't know.
I guess so. When I read the article, I had a different perspective. When he said justify, I got the idea that sure, it's a choice, but we don't know how much work they put into that game. We don't know.
You're right. Yes.
We don't know these things. If we worked at Nintendo, I think we'd have a better idea of what they're doing. And there might be a lot that we don't know. I mean, if we look at Mario, again, we haven't seen the full direct, but maybe there's just some really great Nintendo magic in there that we really don't see. And there's a lot, like from the minute details, like when you hit other collisions and like hit other cars, you get hit in that direction. It's not a simple front flip anymore. It's like if you get bashed to the side, you get bashed to the side. If you get hit in the back, you're going to do a front flip. You get hit in the back, you're going to go back. Like there's more fluidity happening and you know a lot more diverse. And again, we can't it's so hard from the consumer to judge that price alone because we didn't build the game from the ground up. We didn't start this over. And if you really, and I'm not saying that like the price is great. I'm just saying from my perspective, how I read the article is that we're putting this price on this game because we know the work that went into it. Maybe they had to build a whole different engine and that's why it's costing a little extra. Or like we said, there's free DLC. There's going to be updates for 5 years and beyond. We don't know these things yet.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot. And if the unfortunate truth is that it's $80, to me, it's just like, it's $80. I mean, it sucks. It sucks I have to put down $80. But again, I have a choice. I understand.
You have it. You don't have to do that.
I don't have to do that. But for someone who loves Mario Kart, who loves Nintendo, I'm putting down 80. And I talked to this a little bit before about the price of games. I think I talked a little bit this before, and that was the fact that, you know, somebody was going to do it first. And there were already rumblings of that GTA 6 was going to be priced at $100.
It's going to be priced at $300 now.
Yeah.
There ain't no stopping them for pricing it at whatever they want.
But
You get a GTA 6. You get GTA 6 for $300, and the Switch 2 comes with it.
and I feel like how would have that reacted? Would we get the same reaction, or are we just getting that reaction because Nintendo did it first?
That's a great point. That is a really good point. I guess we don't know. We will never know that answer.
We'll never
I can
know.
tell you, for me, I would have reacted the same way. I'd have been like, no way. GTA ain't worth that. I'll go play GTA Vice City, San Andreas 5, 4, all these.
5, yeah.
I'm not paying $100. I'm not paying that. What for? No, it's not worth it to me.
Right.
But the point
and
there was. Can I just say this bit from the article? He also says, about the pricing. I think for us, that's really how we want to proceed and go forward. I can't speak for other games that we might be released by other publishers or other platforms. It's more about what we think is right for our content, what is the right value for the consumer as they come into our platform. I think that's the problem, is that he's saying the consumer. So when you're putting everybody, when you're lumping everybody together like that, because you're just going to assume that everybody's going to pay it. But to your point you just made now, you're going to pay it. You're gonna do it, and you are voicing the same thing as probably millions of other people are saying. Well, it's Nintendo. I'm just gonna pay it anyways because I want that.
Well, it's like the same if I did it like in the beginning for PlayStation 5. There was no, and they didn't have to do a justification for it. When they said $70, everybody went $70. Granted, their launch games were priced differently because I think Miles Morales was a $50 game, I believe.
I think so. Wasn't Demon Souls the only $70 one at launch?
Yeah, I don't trust me on that quote.
I don't know. I feel like that's the case.
Yeah, but
do you?
I just
do you,
don't.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just don't remember a lot of like hate on it. I don't remember a lot of hate happening when people said $70 was the new standard. And that's not even to say Nintendo is calling it the new standard. I mean, it can range easily from 60 to 80, and we just don't know
not
what
going to say that. Of course, they're not going to say that because now, if they say yes, we're the standard now they're the ones to blame. We can all look at Nintendo and say, well, it's you. Of course, they're not going to be. They're going to say no.
Well, nobody.
Yeah.
But that's what PlayStation said. That's what PlayStation said flat out. I'm pretty sure I read an article somewhere where they were like, $70 is the industry standard, and that was that.
That's a ballsy statement to make. I'm sure there was probably outrage because I even struggle with that price.
I did too.
Now we're just accustomed to it now. So
yeah.
Right.
Well, I think the $80 thing was more. I think the $80 is there was more outrage to it than the 70 because we had $60 games for years, right? For years.
For over 10 years.
Over 10 years since what the PS3, 360, right? And we had that for so long that it's like, oh, now like more like slowly these AAA titles are getting $70 price tags. It's like
for certain titles.
For certain titles, exactly. It wasn't every new title.
There were certain platforms.
Exactly. So, and for certain right. So only like specific AAA titles were getting these $70 releases, right? So you're looking at like Call of Duty. I don't even think the newer like CODs and the new college football or Madden or anything, those like sports ones, I think those were still 60. I don't think they were 70. I think
they are.
Yeah, I think it was just like COD. COD was a big one.
COD was 70.
COD was 70, 100%.
Yeah.
And we only had these $70 titles for like they were rolling out 2 years, for a year, 2 years, and now all of a sudden we're already now getting $80 games. Like we sat on that number for such a short amount of time. We didn't have the time to get used to it. Now we're already jumping to $80 games. It's like we didn't even adjust to the $70. How are we going to adjust to $80 now?
And we didn't adjust to the $70 because the games that put the $70 price tag on it, I will say 7 times or maybe even 8 times out of 10 are not worth. They come out.
They're not worth it.
They come out half baked. Almost, I would say 80%.
Almost
of the time.
every
There's
time.
Very few.
And how quick do those games go on sale after? Insanely fast.
Right. I think that $80 price tag, if that does become the industry standard, and this goes back to the point of laziness and complacentness. Do developers and publishers now become lazy and complacent? Do they just say, we'll release an $80 game, half-baked, all these problems at launch. Look at the most recent Civilization. It had a ton of problems at launch, bugged out, feature less from previous ones. This happens all the time. Then they'll say, oh, we'll add it later. Only if you buy the premium edition, or if you buy this, we'll add that feature you really want, and if you pay up. And it's like very anti-consumer. 70 doesn't justify what you're getting. I think very rare cases.
Very rare.
If GTA 6 came out as $70, I think that would be worth it. Red Dead 2 didn't come out as 70, but Red Dead 2, 70. Makes sense. COD, I would even say Black Ops 6 in a way is kind of worth 70 because you're getting all of that content.
Initially.
You could argue that. I think it just makes them lazier and complacent, especially if you have, like, if EA Sports decides that they want to put out Madden for 80, and we know what they've been
God.
doing with Madden. Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
Come
no.
on.
And that's like, you know,
EA
especially
in
with
general.
coming
Just EA in general releasing
EA
$80
in
games
general.
is crazy. It's crazy.
As someone who has put 8 days into college football since July, I will tell you right now, once college football 26 gets announced, and if they say, "Oh, this is getting an $80 price tag," I'm not getting it day one like I did last year.
Wait.
I don't even.
Just wait.
Yeah, I don't even know. I gotta double check, but I don't remember college football being 70 on release last year. I think that was still 60.
I really thought it was 7, maybe not. But I'm
Let
gonna.
me double check.
I think we should take a brief pause because Jared's got to pee really, really fast. So I will be right back.
Oh, shoot.
I will
I
be
feel like
back in
somebody always got to pee during midstream. Get
Also,
it?
I will I will tell Jared when he gets back, but he was correct. It was $70 on release.
I was gonna say I just looked it up. It was 70.
Yeah, it was 70. It was
Um,
70 and then 100 for the deluxe and then the MVP,
Yeah.
which is I think was the bundle you could get. Where was that and Madden? Or no.
But if you think of it,
Something else.
let me get to the comments real quick. So
Yeah.
Game Guy says, "Preach, brother, preach." I don't know which part we are preaching to. I didn't timestamp it, so we will keep preaching to your liking. And Matt here says, $80 is pretty much $100. My knobby knees will not stand for it. Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
I
God.
get it. It's a pretty penny. It's
It's
But
a
again,
hefty price tag for some
Jared
pixels.
mentioned this earlier. And I'm such an optimist. It's so bad. It's so bad. Like, you don't even know. At least, and that's why I have Jared as a friend, because he's a realist.
Yeah. And
you
we were
need
talking
that
about this before
balance.
the recording. I like to think I'm a fine, like, middle ground. Because there's, like, my main optimistic thought throughout this whole thing, and it's always, this has been with consoles, games, whatnot, is whenever, welcome back. I can't hear us, but
hold on.
no. I'll wait to say what I'm gonna say
Hold on a second.
when he puts his headphones back on.
I was turning them off to save battery because they're wireless.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, I can
So
hear
we
you.
were just saying, Brandon is very, very, very optimistic.
As you
Jared is
should
the
be.
realist. Jared is the realist, and then I'm like the fine middle ground, like we were talking about before starting. And my main thought is, it's the most optimistic and realistic thought that I have with honestly any new console game, whatever. If I have any sort of like negative thought, like, I guess, but I want it to do well. It's always just prove me wrong. Just prove me wrong. Prove that the console's worth $450. Prove that Mario Kart World is worth $80.
Yeah.
Because me personally, right now, I'll just flat out say I don't think Mario Kart is worth $80.
No.
I don't. I don't. But I want them to prove me wrong because I love the franchise, and I've loved every release that I've played. But I just don't. I just don't like it. I don't like it. And Brandon, be optimistic for us.
Yeah,
Will do.
but you're optimistic, yet I think, Brandon, if I can compliment you for a minute, whenever we're
Mhm.
having these discussions about Nintendo, or sometimes you get so caught up in the hype, you're like, but like here, I'm being serious. Here you are as optimistic, but also as real as I've ever heard you when it comes to this. So I just want to compliment you on that for just saying, nope, I get it. I'm so excited, but I get it. That's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, I
That's
mean,
good.
for me, like I said, I work in social media, so I see both sides to everything.
Yeah.
So I think I roll with the punches, and I don't. And let this be the reminder of the night, okay? Whether we're talking about Nintendo, PS5, your Rogue Ally, your Steam Deck, your VR headset, who cares? if you're having fun, remember that.
Yeah, 100%.
Please, out of everything that we talk about in this video game podcast, everything from episode 1 to episode 1000, if we make it that long, episode 1000, is that we are just looking to have fun. It is a leisure. It's an expensive leisure sometimes, but in the end, we shouldn't get bullied because we love something.
No.
Okay?
Right.
I'm not going to
exactly.
bully Jared because he loves PC. I understand why he likes PC. I totally understand.
Yeah.
For me, it's just I can't put in the effort and the money to build a PC from the ground up. It's a lot of work. I would rather just have a console right from the get-go that I know what can play, and I'm okay with not having games that are not running to its full optimization. I'm having fun. And that's personally to me that's what matters. You know,
That's what video games are all about. And video games are meant to be played, meant to make memories. Video games are meant to be accessible to everyone. And so it just sucks.
I think we'll get Muppet Party Cruise on GameCube.
I will pay whatever.
If we get that,
You know what I find interesting? You know what?
$450.
I'm assuming we're going to break down the direct, which I think we should. We should break it down. We should go back. We should break it down. We should talk about that stuff. Yeah, it's just when video games are supposed to be accessible and everybody's supposed to enjoy them, and we want everybody to enjoy them. It's hard when we know that even though these games look awesome, not everybody's going to be able to enjoy them right off rip. And that stinks. That really stinks. It really does. Before we get into the direct stuff, I would like to know what the chat thinks of all this pricing. I don't have the chat pulled up. What does the chat say? Have they commented on the pricing? Are you guys going to buy a Switch day one? We're about to jump into the direct stuff. Do you guys think it's worth it? Pros, cons, anything? Throw it out there, chat. Whatever you want to say about the Switch 2, throw it out there.
Matt Harris said $80 is pretty much $100, and my knobby knees will not stand for it.
You know what I just thought about too? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is $60 retail, but then if you buy that booster pass, isn't that $24.99?
Mm-hmm.
So that's more expensive if you want all the tracks, unless you buy the Switch Online. But if you buy the Switch Online, that's $50. So you're paying.
Oh, yeah. Right,
110.
you need the $50 for that one.
Yeah.
But again, you're getting old retro games, and also if you have Animal Crossing and Splatoon 3, you get those DLC expansions as well. So
as long as you keep paying grubby Nintendo,
$50 a year.
Yeah. I think
compared
it's
to
PlayStation.
PlayStation, $180 a year. No
Is that how
monthly
much-
option.
Is that how much
Yes.
the premium is now?
Let me
there's a
double
monthly
check.
Option.
They
I
increased.
pay monthly.
Not anymore. They took it.
They took the monthly away?
Mhm.
Oh, you want to talk about being greedy, PlayStation? Put out some first party stuff and we'll have a conversation.
Let me just double confirm.
That's crazy. Guys, I'm telling you, there's never been a better time to look at Steam and PC. I'm telling you, there's never been a better time. Now would be the time because you can get games super cheap on Steam, guys. I'm telling you. No, it's never been a better time. And if Xbox has an opportunity to come out swinging with a handheld with Steam implementation. They have. Or a console with Steam implementation.
Okay. I'm sorry. I made an boo-boo mistake.
I was like, I play
Sorry.
a premium for monthly.
Yeah.
to play
So
it
it's
sometimes.
$17.99 a month.
Yeah.
But $160 a year.
For all of that? Yeah, see, that's a tough sell for all. But yet again, I'm paying $20. What the hell do I know?
I know. I'm paying.
I'm gonna
$160
delete
a
it.
year.
I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna get rid of it anyways. But...
Anyways,
all right, let's get into the direct stuff.
Let's talk about the direct. Also, let's catch up on some things too, because a lot of things happen. So Kenny says, "What if the fun part is bullying Jared?"
I'm gonna drop my one F-bomb. Fuck you, Kenny.
Okay, for context, he knows Kenny. He knows Kenny in real life.
I have no idea who that guy is.
You don't?
Yes, I know who Kenny is.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the bit. Yeah, that's the bit.
That's the bit.
Yeah.
I see. Matt here says your Steam Deck, your Tech Deck does sick kickflips with pinkies.
I asked a legitimate question, and everybody's spinning it into something funny.
But Squibbo said, well, actually, hold on. Game Guy says, hey, yo, this Kenny whack, bro. But Skibbo says, to your question, insane, but day one. It's insane they just have Nintendo tax. I love piracy, smile. J-Rod got me into that back in the day.
Oh, the piracy? Yeah, I might have.
I don't want Nintendo to cancel my reservation.
I like emulation. That's all I'm going to say. I've always liked emulation. Thanks, Squeebo, for that. I was really curious what Squeebo was thinking. I meant to text him and time got away from me. I'd be curious, Squeebo, please let us know what your honest opinion is. I would love to know that from him in particular, because he's a really big Nintendo guy. So I'd be curious to see what his response is to that. Are you going to pay $450 at launch, or $500, or maybe $650? Because I saw that number being thrown out there.
Or $770.
That's crazy. Nobody should pay that.
1,000.
Nobody should be paying that. No one should pay that for that console. Let's talk about the Direct. Do you want me to go bit for bit? Do you want me to start it?
Oh, I can do it.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
If I miss something, please let me know. But feel free to hard scrub if I. What's that?
Chat too. Chat. Let us know if we miss something.
Oh yeah.
Out there.
So the first thing was the big starter, is what I think we all knew was going to be the big starter, was Mario Kart World. And aside from pricing, holy crap. To me, that looks like open world Mario Kart. I never thought. So let me say this first. I was almost right.
You were right. No, you were 100% right.
I was 100% right. Although I did do it the way I thought it was going to be with the pipes, but to just be like, finish a track and then the next track starts, but you have to travel to that track first, and that's part of the race still.
Yeah, it acts as the first 2 laps of the race, and then the third lap is now you on the course. That's
I mean, seamless. It's and like cool. And the fact that they're doing a whole direct on this, I thought that was it, but there's still more somehow. And I'm praying that it's a mission mode or a story mode, because I just feel like it would be.
Well, in that little tease, or that little bit in the overview video for the Switch 2, they had Mario in the water going after something. So I don't know.
I'm really excited. I love the Battle Royale. I think it works really well compared to like. Oh, you like it too?
I was getting Super Mario Brothers 35 flashbacks where I played that game to death, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be bad.
I think I like it though. Yeah. Here's why I like it, because for someone who's played online a lot, I suck. I'll get like maybe first place, but I think I've only gotten first place like maybe once or twice, maybe not.
Mario Kart?
Well, whatever. It's not a lot. Yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Wow. I think
It's
Brian
tough.
and I might be
when
better
you're playing,
than you at Mario Kart.
Oh, most likely in some way.
Brian and I are Mario Kart aficionados.
I'm a Mario
over
Kart
here.
fiend.
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 was, well, I've dabbled. No, I'm sorry. Mario Kart DS was my first, but it definitely wasn't. I didn't fully grasp on until 8. Like 8 was like, this is awesome. Like the whole anti-gravity stuff was just awesome at the time. But with this, there's grinding.
Very Jet Set Radio inspired.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Tony Hawk,
and
Jet Set Radio. Yeah.
Dude, it's like all of them. It's like Jet Set, it's Wave Race 64. It's got so much going for it. But yeah, going back to that online, the 24 players thing, I think I'm just enjoying that, because there is some kind of redemption to it. It's like, oh, I made it to like the 3rd round at least. I'm getting better at somewhat. So, and I think it just does it better than any of the free ones do. Like, I think the only one I think of is Disney Racers, but I think a Fortnite one is out there somewhere. But they don't do it like that. They do it just as a regular race. It's not like a battle royale, your typical one. So I like the idea. And the fact that they're doing a whole direct for it is just still mind-blowing to me. Like, I could totally see there being more modes, like maybe there's like a mouse mode or something like that, or again, there's a whole, we haven't even seen the battle thing yet. I mean,
Yeah.
there's still a battle mode out there, and we have not seen it yet. And I could totally seeing it be like, you know, this whole continent or whatever is your playroom, and just go. And like it's like hide and seek or stuff like that.
It's Cars, the video game.
Cars the video game. No, it's really F1.
Oh my
Or
god.
not F1.
Mix of
it's
F1
Forza.
and Cars.
It's
Cars the
Forza.
video game.
Forza, yeah. Not
Forza. Well,
It's Forza.
Forza Horizon action.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyways, with that being said, I'm really pumped about it. Obviously, I think it just looks great, and it's running at 4K 60. It just looks gorgeous. I mean, from what I've seen, just from like other people playing, and we'll talk more about this when we get to there. But they really highlighted the HDR and the VER on an LCD, and it just the colors like look great on an LCD. I'm surprised.
I saw some comment that said that it's going to look better on an LCD than it would on an OLED.
Which is so weird to me.
That
Yeah, I
is
saw
really
that
weird.
and I was like, is that true? But I guess maybe, yeah.
I don't know, but like when they did the
I don't know.
comparison, it was pretty flat out there. But then when people went hands on, because like this LCD, I don't think is like the plastic LCD model. It's a very glossy finish, almost glass looking LCD screen. So the colors just pop, man. I mean, I don't know how they did it, but I mean, I can't imagine what the OLED's going to look like if it does happen. That's pretty much all I had because that's really all they revealed until April 17th. So,
Brad Guy, what's your opinion on the game? Minus the pricing, just the game itself.
Just the game itself.
Yeah.
They're making the right strides to make it different from the rest of the franchise. I was honestly fully just expecting another standard Mario Kart title with a couple different enhances here and there. This could be like, I mean, how Mario Kart 9 or not 9, 8 has been out for
Forever.
Like 10 years.
Yeah,
It's got to
10
be
years.
at least 10
like,
years at this
Twen-
point.
yeah.
2014 or 2013, I want to say.
Over 10 years.
Yeah. So no, it's been, that was like everybody was held over with that one for years, and that was like a pretty, all things considered, aside from the zero gravity and stuff, it's a pretty standard Mario Kart. So I like to think that this one's gonna hold people over even longer if it comes out right, if the updates are solid, if the DLC is solid, if this 24 racer thing works.
Yeah, if it's not just
This-
a lag fest and just
Yeah,
chaotic and the game can't hold up. it.
exactly.
I will say
This
the Switch is updated with a Wi-Fi 6, so it's 6Gs.
Yeah.
This
Well,
could be
it's
the
still
best.
Nintendo we're talking about here, Brandon.
No, I
so
know, I
they-
I
They
understand.
could still
I get it.
advertise
I
that
know.
we're gonna have great online, and they could. It's some of that. We'll get to it in this direct, but some of that online stuff, I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know.
But it could be the best Mario Kart title ever.
Could be.
I hope it is.
Just want to catch up real quick because we got a lot of comments incoming.
Oh my
after
God, yeah,
your
we do.
question.
Awesome.
Squibbo says thank you for Rom's Paradise, sir. And he goes on ? Kenny says I will unfortunately be paying for it. Squibbo says I'll pay up to $500 for itself because I'm a sucker at it, but I don't think it's worth it. Like I said though, Nintendo tax Steam Deck plays Switch 2, not any mo. I don't know what that means. Matt here says I need to know, did Brennan get to peruse the socials? What does that mean?
Oh, we said that you had to stay off your socials when you were watching it. I
Oh,
think.
Oh yeah, Brandon. Yeah, no, he didn't follow that. Yeah. Brandon was the first one to watch it. I was the second one, and then Brian was the last one.
Mhm.
I didn't watch it. Brandon Mason was the only one to watch it live. Brian and I did not watch it live.
Scuba says I remember that Cast C button idea. I was wrong. Throw that out the window. But I don't know. I still have hope that when like Wii U stuff comes out or 3DS stuff, I think there's like I didn't look quite at the specs yet, but there is a fan in that dock. So something tells me something's going on in that dock that it can run something else on the screen while you're in. You know, like what if they did that? What if they just like shadow dropped like, oh, the Switch 2 can do this, and then they just show it?
Well, they might have to do something in order to get back in the good graces of the consumer. So maybe that's not a far-fetched idea. Oh, can we talk about the C button? Maybe not yet. Maybe we'll wait a minute. Maybe we'll get to it. Yeah.
Well, it's pretty close in the beginning of the direct. Scuba says, I love Cow. I love Moo Moo too.
Yeah, everybody freaking out about this damn cow. You're gonna spend $80.
No, but can
on
we
a
talk
damn
about
cow.
can we talk about how the cow is eating hamburgers and steak?
Oh, is he really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
No one beats me in Mario Kart, especially J-Rod.
Who said
Squibbo
that?
said that. Squibbo.
Squibbo said, oh, challenge accepted, brother. We'll see.
Matt Hare said Jet Set Radio mentioned. It was. And I think it's coming back. Sega's doing a whole remaster thing going on right now. That, Crazy Taxi, a bunch of games are being brought back with new,
Oh, yeah.
not even remasters. I think they're like supposed to be
No, they're full-fledged
sequels.
or remakes.
Oh, remakes. Oh,
One or
okay.
the
Well,
other.
even still, bring back 90s Sega.
It's the best.
All I'm saying is the Sonic Racing game looks a lot better. We'll see, because I know it looks great, but wait until the frames start dropping when they start going through those rings.
What didn't? So I think maybe it was a misleading headline, but somebody correct me. Didn't the Sonic team, after the Switch Direct and all of that stuff with the pricing, didn't they take a shot at Nintendo for that? Oh, hold on. Hold on. Let me confirm that. Hold on. Team
I think
Sonic.
I think they announced that it's coming to Switch 2 that year, this same year.
Hold on. What was the name? It was Sonic
Cross
Racing.
Racing, something like that.
Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Okay, hold on. I feel like they put something on social media that kind of took a shot.
Oh god. Scuba also says, "OMG, Jared, show me Cars, a video game." He's so locked in. I love that on PS2.
On April 2nd, they said, big day for worldly racing games. Anyway, get ready for the only upcoming kart racer you can play with your friends around the world across all your favorite platforms, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. So they kind of took a dig. I thought it was way bigger.
I guess. I mean, their worlds aren't interconnected, so...
I think they were just taking a shot at multi-platform.
I get it.
Do you get it? Do you?
I do. No, they're probably like the second best when it comes to kart racing games.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right.
I think Transformed's great. If you haven't played Transformed, even though it's got the same stuff going on as at the time 7, it's great.
That's good.
Play as Wreck-It Ralph and Danica Patrick.
All right, let's continue on. Let's the next bit. So after that, then they went into specs.
Yes. So they went into just full on, looked at the console from
which I predicted. I said they needed to. I said they needed to do specs because we live in a spec-filled market.
Yep.
They needed to come out swinging with the specs if they wanted to separate themselves from the competition.
And I was surprised. So I guess we won't spend too much on this because we still have so much to get through.
Yeah, we don't need to spend all day on it. Yeah, no.
But it's an obvious upgrade. I mean, it's obviously not in line with your PS5. It's not in line with your Xbox Series. But
is it enough to justify?
To me, yes. I think when you see it, it's a handheld console. And you're not... Yes, there are other handheld consoles out there for a cheaper price. But at the cheaper price, you're not getting the same things going on. Like, for instance, I totally don't know this, but with the Steam Deck, there is a dock of sorts. Correct me?
Yes.
Is there a dock?
Yes.
Which is separate, right?
You have to pay for that, yeah.
You have to pay for that. So this comes with a dock. And along with that, you put the dock in it, and it also changes the resolution. It goes from up to 4K now. I mean, that's a huge. And then now there's HDR, there's VER, and it looks so much better than what HDR provided on the original Switch. There's just a lot happening. There's a fan now in the dock. You're getting, and granted, it's not a big size, but 256 from 64 of the OLED. Originally, I think it was 32, right? 32 gigs. Can't remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's 8 times they said.
Sure.
So do the math. Do the math. So, that's a huge leap. And knowing how Nintendo games work, first party Nintendo games, mind you, they make it work. They've announced the file sizes. So this I can confirm now. Mario Kart World is only 20 gigs. Around 20 gigs.
Really?
It's just that Nintendo magic. I don't know how they do it, but 20 gigs. And I think Donkey Kong Bonanza is like less than 20. I don't know where exactly it lands. But I think a lot of that, and I was right, but they didn't mention in the Direct. Unfortunately, they mentioned it after, but we can now finally confirm that NVIDIA incorporated their DLSS tech into the chip.
Why do you think they didn't show that in the Direct?
I think people wouldn't get it.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think people would have, this particular crowd who was really interested, I think they would have got it.
I don't know. I don't know why they didn't, but I mean, it's there. That's all that really matters.
Well, we have a lot of questions. why they didn't do the thing.
Probably because the honest truth is because Nintendo doesn't like revealing their magic tricks like outright. They want to keep it like mysterious on how the heck they're doing it in handheld, which is fine. I get it. I mean, it's just, it's whatever. I mean, they had some magical stuff with the Switch. Like there's some crazy things that are running on that. That really like, even though it runs terribly, the fact that Hogwarts Legacy is on Switch 1 is like baffling to me. I mean, its load times are crazy and it just chugs, but people are playing it and like people like are like, it's all right. I mean, if this was your only choice of console, it plays,
Yeah, and then in the Switch 2 Direct, they announced that Hogwarts Legacy is coming to the Switch 2. I thought that was hilarious. That made me chuckle. A lot of that stuff made me chuckle. That one in particular, I was like, wait a minute, what? It's like, you're choosing to put that out there now, like during this big Direct? Okay.
Well, there was and again, we'll talk more about it, but they were like back to back with those third party stuff, which I thought was a really good choice. I think it like gets the hype in because it's just one thing after another and bam, 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 bam. And that's what Directs are usually like. They're always like, I don't think we can like stick around this too much. Because there's also a lot of stuff that is on the website too that you can learn. So, and that's how I found out about the DLSS. There was a press release from NVIDIA that talks a little bit about their architecture that's going on with the chip that they made. So there's that. Joy-Con, they're upgraded. So we did go to the unfortunate news today, and I'm waiting for Jared's reaction on this.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
No, there is no Hall effect on the Joy-Con 2.
Which means those puppies are gonna drift, baby. Woo! $90 later. Congratulations, guys. You wasted your money. Good job. $90 for them to drift.
But there's a but to this all. They're bigger, and I've seen a lot. And like for me, I have big hands. I have big fingers.
More room to drift.
More room to drift. Exactly.
More room, baby.
Bing. I'm gonna be driving off the ledge in Mario Kart.
Yeah, after you play it 5 times, you'll be like, "What's going on here? Oh my God, there he goes!"
So yeah, we got the Joy-Con HD Rumble 2. I think as much as I did not get to play with it myself, I wish I did. I think it's a lot equivalent to the PS5 DualSense, where it's got a lot more going on than just the first round. I mean, the HD Rumble on the first Joy-Con is just amazing. I think when we first, like, you were hearing sounds, even though the Joy-Con did not have a speaker. Like every time it was your turn in Mario Party, it did like a ba-doo-doo, and then like it's like, how did it do that? That was just Rumble. It made that sound. So I'm really excited to see what they do in HD Rumble 2. The mouse is real. I think we all saw that coming a mile away. And I've seen gameplay with it for Metroid, and the instantaneous of just like taking the Joy-Con like this and just facing it face down and just to go at it, no extra menu, no extra thing to jump through to start that is wild. I mean, that's just one feature of using it, but there was a little bit. Civ 7 mentioned that they're going to use the mouse features, which is great. I mean, I think for a lot of developers, that's going to be very eye catching.
Kenny brought up a point, and yeah, but Nintendo also assumes that everybody has a flat surface just lying around waiting to use that thing.
I mean, so for me, I heard this too, but I guess my thing is like in my mind, nobody has like a dinner table, one of those foldable dinner tables, because I would just use that. I don't have a table in here, but I would be like, oh, I'll just use my foldable dinner table, and like that would be it. But somebody else brought up like a lot of people, and I didn't even think of it this way, but a lot of people have their Switches at their desktop monitor. And I said, I guess they do. Some people do, you know, if you just like have your own little gaming setup in your corner on a desk.
I wonder what the percentage on that is.
I wonder too, because then it got me more thinking. I'm like, well, how many people have 120 hertz TV screens? But the real question is, how many people have 120 hertz monitors? And I was like, that makes more sense to me.
That would be interesting to figure that out.
Because you can play 120 hertz Metroid Prime. It's 1080 max, but 120 hertz on a shooter. I mean,
yep,
that's pretty great. What were you gonna say though?
I want to go to the chat for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Squeebo said people go to Nintendo for simplicity, like iPhone. Yeah, Nintendo has now officially become the Apple of video games. I can completely stand by that. I think that's absolutely true. They don't. He also said don't want to be bothered. Just pop in Mario Kart and done. Yep. Kenny, this is the point I was going to make, Kenny. So I'm so glad when we got to it. This was exactly what I was going to say. Kenny said, quote, I think it's too many re-releases that are launch titles. That was going to be my big gripe. Where are these first party launch titles? Where are they? And so I wanted to go back. I guess I would like to get into this now because we're running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that launch lineup. Or lack thereof, because I honestly think Mario Kart World, is that enough to justify that 450? So if that's the case, I'm sorry, the $500, because most people, if they want Mario Kart World, they're going to buy that bundle. But then those bundles are limited supply; they're not going to be around for a while. Or forever, I mean. I apologize. So if we look back at Nintendo's launch titles for their previous games, a lot of it has always been third-party support. Even if we go back to the Switch, it was in the state or worldwide, it was 1-2 Switch, Just Dance 2017, Skylanders Imaginators, Super Bomberman R, The Blinding of Isaac Rebirth, and Breath of the Wild. Again, Breath of the Wild was a dual release.
But it moved consoles.
It did. But you could also still play it on the Wii U. So, you know what I mean?
But
that's
I don't know. I think my thing is like, here's my point to it. The Wii U was dying. And I don't think...
No. The Wii U was dead on arrival.
Okay, yes. The Wii U was dead on arrival.
Yes.
But I think a lot of people, yes, there was probably a few that did buy the Wii U version. And I think this is due to the people of like being like, I don't know if the Switch is going to do so well. But if you look at the numbers, I think a lot of units moved due to, like, you wouldn't say a lot of people bought a Wii U to play Breath of the Wild. You know what I mean?
No, I think a lot of people on day one bought the Wii U to play New Super Mario Brothers U or the greatest game of all time, Rabbids Land. They definitely bought it for that, or Sing Party, or Tank 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 on the Wii U's launch day. So Nintendo had on the launch day for the Wii U in North America. I'm only just doing it based in North America. New Super Mario Bros. U. They also had Nintendo Land, but Nintendo Land was a pack-in title, wasn't it?
If you bought the deluxe bundle,
it was a pack-in title. How much more expensive was that than the regular? Do you know offhand or no?
Let's take a look. I want to say $250.
Okay. So I'm going to go to the Wii. So even like the Wii, a ton of third-party support. We also had Excite Truck, which I think was published by Nintendo. And then they also had Wii Sports, and the Twilight Princess. Right off rip. The 3DS This is a 3DS, right? Yep. In North America, a lot of third party Nintendogs plus cats.
So,
Steel
wait,
Diver.
can I
Go
stop
ahead.
you for a second?
Yep.
Are you ready for this? So there's two SKUs of this. Later on, the deluxe set was 300. Later on, this is the second set.
So, is it safe to say that what we're experiencing right now with Nintendo is a Wii U situation? Where they get a little too greedy and think people are just going to buy it? You think they would have learned their lesson before with the Wii U and the 3DS, because the 3DS sold like crap at launch?
Yeah, and the first it came out was 350.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so, like I said, everything is so uncertain now. It could end up like a 3DS situation again, where the price gets lowered and they have to find different parts to make the price happen.
Yeah, and they have to start pumping out first party support. That's the big thing with launch.
Brian
had his one game that he said was gonna launch. That was a new fast game, which I was thinking of you, Brian, when I saw that.
Yes.
Brian got
I'm
it.
so happy.
Got it.
So
Right.
happy
It was
it's
so
happening.
like it was a blink and you miss it, but I remember it because I was like, oh my god, this guy got it right.
Brian said it. They released one with every Nintendo console.
Because I think I remembered it. Well, I remembered it because Brian. Sorry, but you're probably the only person that had that in their bingo card.
Yep.
Oh, 100%.
100% the
Easily.
only one.
Just going back to the first party stuff, though.
Yeah.
Let's look at it this way. I think we're getting a lot of first party in the first. Like we're getting Donkey Kong right at literally
a month after.
I'm talking
after launch day. The
I know
day the
launch
console
day
comes out.
I get it. I get launch day. I totally understand where you're coming from. But there's a big but to this. We're probably going to get a Nintendo first party every month, somehow, some way.
Let's hope. That's the only way to justify it. In that first year of the Switch 2, I'm in the first year of the Switch 2 from first party. I'm talking exclusive to Switch 2, making that purchase of $450 justified. That first year, they announced from Nintendo, first party exclusives. They announced Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong, Kirby Air Riders, and that new From Software game, exclusive to the Switch. But if we're taking that From Software game out, it's just those three, and that packing game, or the pack. I'm going to call it the packing game because that's what it should be. Nobody should have to pay for that welcome tour. So that's 4.
Here's the thing. I like the fee drop. I do not want all my first party games out right now. Okay, I really want to take my time.
No. I don't think that they should do that either. But I think they should have had maybe 1 or 2 more to justify that cost. But they've struggled with that.
Who did 2? Like I'm talking. When has there ever been a time when there was more than 2? I guess is my question.
That's what I'm saying. Even 1 or 2 more. That's what I'm saying. 1 or 2. 1 or 2 big games, maybe 1 more big game, maybe 2, to be like, hey, new big console. Let's where everybody's really excited. There's all this talk, this news about it. I just thought they would have came out swinging harder.
I just see Mario Kart 8 Deluxe numbers and how many they sold with that, and they didn't. That wasn't a day one. That was a month after. No, 2 months after. I think it was like a May release.
Yeah, so maybe in their mind, they don't care. Maybe they're like, yeah, whatever. We got Donkey Kong coming a month later.
Well, I didn't say it like that, but okay.
That's how I
more like.
I'm saying you're right.
More,
but you're right though. In their mind, they're probably thinking, wait for Donkey Kong another month. What's another month?
Well, I think it's just it's a good feed drop. You know, it's not putting everything all at once. You know, it's like slowly.
I guess. Yeah.
But that's the and
it
that's
works
the
both
thing.
ways.
It works. We talked about this a little bit, and I think like it just like because again we don't know uncertainties, but in a scenario like this, let's say that consoles sell out. Let's say consoles sell out day 1. We get a month to get them back, and hey, Donkey Kong's out. Let's get that moving. Donkey Kong's out, and now we get a Switch 2. Then it's out of stock again. Damn. the next couple months go by, September or whatever usually their timeline is for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Usually we get 3 holiday titles, out right off the bat. So I think they're not putting so much on it because there's going to be too much. Like if you got Donkey Kong fans and Mario Kart fans, you're going to have 0 consoles. You're going to have a tough time recuperating.
I'm
to
just
get
saying
back-
that would have broken the internet if they said
it
that was
would've
coming on
totally
launch day.
broken the internet.
If they said that was launch and the console was $450, I think people would have been like, okay.
But you're just going to have to wait a month. A month.
Yeah, but maybe they won't see the sales that they want outright. Or maybe they will. Maybe what we're saying is completely bogus and it's nonsense. And
I
all
think
of
I
it
just
is-
personally I like the spacing. Like that's just me. I get that there should be more first party stuff going on.
just right away. That's all I'm saying. Right at the start.
Yeah.
It's your big console. It's situation. It's a situational thing. Big price jump from the Switch to the Switch 2. More features. They're emphasizing all these feature stuff, but then they're only releasing Mario Kart World the first day. That I go, well, that's a little weird. Wouldn't you want to release like maybe another one to justify that? I'm talking just right off rip. I like
No, I
spacing
know.
too
I
because
get
too
it.
much at one go is overwhelming for the consumer.
I guess
I'm
for me,
right with
because
you.
I look at PS5 and they only technically, if we're gonna go just off, they only had one exclusive. Technically, Miles Morales was both on PS4 and PS5 day one, and so was Sackboy. That was PS4 and PS5 day one. So they really only had Demon Souls day one as a first party exclusive.
Do you think that that's a problem though? Day
Well-
one, the first day of the console launch. Do you think that that's an issue? Do you think that maybe they should have focused more on their new console as opposed to the old one? Right off rip. Brian, feel free to chime in anytime, brother. You've been quiet for a while.
I'm just chilling.
Well, at the time, they couldn't make enough units. It was
Right.
they
That was
couldn't.
COVID time, right?
It was COVID time, and we were going through a big semiconductor loss. I don't know what you want to call it. There weren't enough semiconductor chips basically being produced at the time because of COVID. And we've greatly improved. There are you can get a PS5 now, you can get an Xbox now, but at the time it was almost last minute. I feel like they announced it. They said it outright that due to the shortage of PS5s, we're going to be putting these top hitter games, and along with that, and then you get to the point where it's like, oh, those games had free upgrades, so
Hey, I don't mean to cut it off, but we have a special guest here tonight.
Oh,
and I'm gonna,
boy.
Special guest?
And I'm going to allow it, maybe not on camera, but I'm going to allow him to say something. Go ahead.
No, I did go on camera.
All right, maybe for a second. You can come on. We have my son here.
Exposed.
We have my son here, and he's showing off. Speaking of Nintendo, show it off. Show it off.
Yo,
Heck
bro.
yeah, dude.
Was that pajama set $100?
How much was that pajama set? You want to tell them?
I don't know.
He said mom and dad paid for it, and that's
So
how
go
simple
ahead.
it was gonna be.
Get out of here. Good night.
I want to hear what they said to me.
They don't even think they heard you.
I need to make a phone so they hear what they say. Hey, Poco Heads.
You're a poopy head.
You got me a poopy head.
I love you. Good night.
Oh my god! And we just got 100 views all of a sudden.
Yeah, Asher,
Whoa.
my son, is the reason why. Yeah.
He's the new face of Trifecta.
I get your
would-
point, Mason. I got your
Yes,
point.
yes.
I think we should.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, no, we should move on. But
Yeah.
again, I was just saying at the tail end with the free upgrades, and like that is like again, here we are back to square one where everybody's doing something different. And
Yeah.
but it again. I get your point. I totally understand that we only have the one first party game, and heck, if you count even snipper clips on the first Switch, that's
Yeah.
exclusive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you count that. But it sounds like from the direct, and to Kenny's point in the chat, and I 100% agree with him because I was feeling the exact same thing because we spent 20 or so minutes on third party. That to me in a 1 hour direct is a problem.
But
to me,
to count to just add to that,
on old games that play
Summer
better
Game
everywhere
Fest.
else.
Summer Game Fest is just around the corner.
Yeah, okay, but this is their big direct that they're showing off the console. That's the point I'm making. It's like, great, all these other stuff is coming up. If that's what we're gonna say every time, we're like, man, I don't know about that direct. Well, they have this coming up, and then we go to that direct, and then they don't show off what we want. And we go, oh man, I don't know. Now they have this coming. Oh, maybe they might do it. Nope. All right. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. I don't know. Like I said, I'm patient. I'm optimistic.
God, you got to be the most optimistic Nintendo fan on the planet right now, dude. How you're not just boiling on the inside going, $80 games. They don't care about me as a consumer.
No, trust me. When I
games.
first saw the, like, I was scrolling through, you should have seen me. I'm like, wow, this game looks incredible. And then you get to like the bottom of the page, and it was like, oh.
Yeah, that initial moment. So correct me if I'm wrong for you guys, and I don't know, maybe the chat can confirm, but Brandon was the one who watched it live, and Brian, I really want to know what you think about all this, because maybe we'll just end the show with our overall thoughts on the direct. Mason, is it true that during the direct that they did not announce the pricing of the Switch or anything until after the Switch went, after the direct went, wasn't live anymore, and then you had to go to the website to see the pricing? Is that true?
Yes, it's confirmed by me that you cannot see the price until on the website.
That should piss you off, because they knew. They knew, Mason.
They knew what they were doing.
Brian, they knew that if they said $450, people are going to be like, I don't know. But they know, especially if they said $80 in that direct, people were going to bust a gasket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be like ticked off. It's a huge increase because I'm just getting, like you said, we're just getting used to $70.
Literally, I've only
but at
had
the
it
same,
for
when
2
those
years.
$70 games aren't even justified of the price, go to Steam, buy your game for $5.
Again, here's the thing: I'm with you, but I'm also with Brian, because with Brian, the way he worded it is that I'm hopeful. And I've said this before, and
like, just prove
I
me
know
wrong.
Nintendo has some issues and some kinks. Like the whole Nintendo Switch Sports thing was a little weird, but in the end, they do put out some top tier games. I think very rarely.
In the end, the Switch is the top-selling console of all time until Sony mysteriously found however many PS2 sales out there. Like, oh, no, now we're the top. Yeah, no. Nintendo Switch is the best-selling video game console of all time. The Switch has the best library of any video game console ever. I would argue.
I think it does, honestly, because it covers...
That or the PS2.
Yeah, that's close.
Either
I think the Switch is probably the greatest console. And again, we kind of talked about this, is that they've done the Wii again, where it tackled a new audience. And that's how every console goes. It's always a blue ocean strategy with Nintendo. But with Switch, and I think it just has to do with like where we are now compared to PS2, is that games are readily available, and might not be first party games. Sometimes they go on sale down to like $40 Switch. 60 to 40, and sometimes even lower if you go retail. For like
getting
big
Super Mario
sales
RPG for $20 recently. That was the sale that was going on. I was like, if you haven't bought that, dude, you guys got to buy that now.
But
right now.
I think it's just like everything's readily available, and there's so many great indie games. There's just, and like that's their mantra, right? It's just Nintendo Switch has games.
So do you think with all this recent announcement with that 80, I'm curious to both of you guys' opinion. Brian, I really want to hear from you. I really want you to jump in. Do you think there's going to be an indie game renaissance now? I think there's a market now where people are looking at that going, I don't know.
If it's not already there, if it's not already happening.
It's definitely already happening. I mean, there was already kind of a huge presence at the Nintendo Switch Direct with it, because you had Hades 2. And a lot of people got really hyped for it, and it's Silk Song. And that's been like...
Yeah, Hollow Knight for like 5 seconds. It's like, here it
Song.
is. Leave us alone. Yeah, Hollow Knight. Yeah.
Sequel.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, for like 5 seconds.
Okay.
That's what I mean. They gave it to you for 5 seconds and go, okay, leave us alone. It's there. Goodbye.
But
and
it's
their
coming out
last
this year.
direct, their last direct too was a lot of it was indies.
Yeah.
Too. So yeah. I
I
think
d-
the indie game market, I bet you indie developers and
it's
publishers
taken
are
off.
ready. They're like, hey, we saw
Mhm.
this with the Switch. Let's go. We're ready. Let's
Yep.
start pumping them out. Putting our games on discount. Let's break in those people who are feeling hurt right now. Hey, why
I
don't you
think
come to us?
the best console I think to
But
handle indie games, and I think the Switch got it. Like they got it. So I think like with indie games they handle them best. I think just like in terms of like getting them out there, like showing what these people have made, and just going back to like really quick with
oh,
oops, go ahead.
sorry, I had to
No,
get
it's
this
okay.
in here because it's really important too. Another big heavy hitter that Squibbo pointed out was Deltarune.
Yeah, the Undertale sequel.
Yeah,
Big game.
which
Brian,
is huge.
you might not be familiar with that. Undertale was a huge game. Like massive indie game.
What? I know a thing or two about Undertale. And I was literally just looking up because I was thinking of like going off topic from the topic that I just started. I was thinking of like when the indie renaissance truly at least like started to ignite. And I was looking to see what came out first because I had 3 games floating around it. I'm gonna be honest. I think it really started to take off when Shovel Knight came out. I want to
Yes.
say Shovel Knight was the first one because that was like 2013, I think, 2012, 2013, and then came Undertale, and then was that Stardew?
I would
think
even argue that the indie game renaissance started when Minecraft really came out, because at that point
that's
it
very
was
true.
still indie, and it was this.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was indie for a while before they sold it to Microsoft.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you could argue. I mean, Stardew. Yeah, Stardew's massive. You're so right. Yeah, massive. And then last year with Balatro. If you know,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
Right? It's like, all right, Brian, what are your thoughts on the direct overall, though? Because Brandon and I have been talking for a while. Overall,
Overall,
everything.
all right, so I'll start with pricing aside. I think it was a good direct. I thought they could have gone more outlandish. I think they could have threw some more curveballs out there, not just because of the what do you call it? The 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 bingo card that I threw together last week. That was very outlandish, but I'm looking at it and I'm biased, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, some of those things they did on there, they should have done on the direct, and I think it would have caught more people's eye than it already did. But what are you gonna do? It happened. And it's not. It wasn't a bad. It wasn't a
What
bad.
are you
direct.
referencing exactly?
So I will say, I mean, like Nintendo can only do so much. Like a lot of it is game stuff, so you can only reveal what developers are actually working on. So it would have been cool if we got something like, well, I'm looking right here, a new Mega Man. Would have been cool. Not expected, but would have been cool. Me personally, I'm still waiting on Scalebound. Somebody make it. Somebody release it. I would have popped for that.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on. They haven't said anything about it like a Game Pass yet, have they? Nothing yet.
No, they're Switch Online. Well, GameCube.
Yeah.
They're adding the
Massive,
GameCube thing.
Massive
It's huge.
thing.
That is huge. Yeah. So I guess we're still
Bro,
waiting to see
can I just
some.
say, when I saw
Mhm.
Chibi Robo, I was like,
Yeah.
that game's like almost $200 to buy. Chibi Robo.
Pokemon Coliseum and Fire Emblem.
Gale of
Path
Darkness.
Radiance. Yeah, but our Pokemon. But Fire Emblem is like a $200 game.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah, and then if you start
Jesus.
adding more, that GameCube library is very valuable on in terms of how expensive it is. Even Wind Waker,
Yeah.
right off rip, Wind Waker and F-Zero GX. Soul Calibur is not that expensive. You can get that pretty cheap, but
Yeah.
Wind Waker and F-Zero are expensive games.
Mhm.
So buying the Nintendo Switch Online is well worth the price of that, right? Because when you know they're going to be expensive. Oh, those games themselves. I'm sorry, I'm getting really distracted because there is a ladybug on the wall that keeps messing with me. It's climbing, falling.
Put on a whole
Oh.
show.
It is. You want me to notice? Yeah, I did, pal. Brian, what else? What else? What are your thoughts? Pros, cons, everything in between.
Well,
What was your biggest pro of the show? When it was over and you thought about it and you said, that was my favorite thing I saw. What was it?
honestly, I would say we talk about how they should have more first-party releases. I am impressed with the third-party releases we are getting on it.
You son of a bitch.
I'm
this
sorry.
This ladybug like flew at me and I backed up.
Whoa. Brian, I've had enough.
I'm
sorry.
logging off.
But as expected as they were, it's cool. It's very cool to see them actually coming out. Elden Ring, Cyberpunk, which I totally forgot about. Like that should have been a definite. And we're getting
Cyberpunk being on the cartridge, completely on the cartridge.
Yeah, crazy. Oh, that's good. That's gonna be a cool thing to own.
We'll see how it runs.
We'll see how it runs. That's true.
We'll see.
We'll see. I think it should be one of those ones I think we talked about this in the last episode. They should just turn down the optimization just a little bit, and I think it'll be fine with the current game. If they somehow get the train wreck that we got with the very first release, how that would happen, I have no idea. But so if they're, obviously they're getting the one that's been updated up the butt for a couple years now.
Yep.
It should be fine on the Switch too.
What was
I was looking at games here that are coming out.
Just to put the thought in your head, what was your biggest con? Like when you're like, oh, I really didn't like that. Pricing aside, because technically we didn't know the pricing when the director.
That's very true.
So, what is your biggest con coming out the other side?
Biggest con.
And for the chat too, what was your biggest pro and biggest con coming out the other side of this direct?
Taking the pricing about aside. That because there wasn't anything I really hated about it. I do think they did a perfectly fine job. I guess my main gripe is that they didn't say anything about Smash Bros. They should have just thrown something out there, I think.
Yeah, but do they need to though?
I don't think they need to, but I think
they could just release an update.
That was a good. I think that was a good time to do it because they knew how many people were going to be watching. I think they had a rough idea of how huge this event was. So maybe even if they just have people running ideas, the actual development may not even have started, but they could just be like, "Hey, it's in discussion. Here's the Smash Ball, you nerds."
That's what they did with the Kirby Air Riders, right? And
yeah,
it was developed by the director of Smash Brothers,
which is the same company that does Smash Brothers.
Okay, so there you go. Is that HAL Laboratories?
Yeah, it's HAL and Sora Limited.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that's it. I didn't leave it thinking oh, I hated this, or I really didn't like this, or there's it's really only things that I just wish they did.
Yeah.
They would have had to swap out certain things. But other than that, I don't think it was a bad direct at all. Yeah. Pricing aside, it wasn't a bad direct.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, the emphasis on third party on old games that we can already play right now and probably play them and better than the Switch 2 can. I was like, yeah, I don't like that. To me, that's not enough to justify the price of $450 to play game. And that's the problem with the Switch. I mean, if there is a problem with the Switch, that is the problem, right? Is that there's this emphasis on re-releasing old games that we can play better on other consoles. It's for the convenience of it.
For me personally, I almost see that if they're showing Elden Ring or showing Cyberpunk, they're definitely confident on how this thing's gonna run. If they ultimately decided that, I think those more so than something like a Mario Kart. We know Nintendo games are always gonna run good on their consoles easily. I mean, you're talking they're smaller games, 20. You're saying 20 gigs for Mario Kart, even something even smaller for Donkey Kong. You're looking at these huge titles that run great on Xbox, PS5, PC. you have a Nintendo releasing this new console, then they've notoriously always been much less powerful than their competitors. They just have a very specific audience and a very specific selection of games that they always release with them that are meant to run well on this. And they've tried other ones, and some have worked, some haven't. I think now they're confident, and I think throwing stuff like I said, Elden Ring and Cyberpunk out, I think they truly do know how powerful this thing could very well end up being. And I think showing those third-party games was like a must, just to say like, hey, we think it can do this. We think it can run this. We know everybody knows it can run a Nintendo game, but we think it can run these as well.
Yeah, I would say, because I was curious at this number, just putting those old games really matter. On the surface, it does. When we look at it, we go, oh, great, it has all these games. But I was looking at the sales because I had a thought. I was like, how much have those games actually sold? To back up that statement, the best-selling game that isn't Nintendo is Stardew Valley. And that's at
so like
7.90.
a game that can run on a phone if you wanted it to. Yeah.
That's the best-selling one. So in reality, does running The Witcher on Switch matter? It's cool. Does it matter?
It's cool.
And sales-wise, no. Running Cyberpunk on the Switch, is it cool? Yeah. Will it matter in sales to CD Projekt Red? Probably not.
Well, probably not. We'll see, but probably not.
Can I add to that real quick?
Yeah.
Let's think long term.
Yeah.
And why I say that is because, again, I think the Switch's goal has always been to be the console that has all the games that you could want.
Yeah.
And thinking long term, yes, right now they're going to be priced at the full price that they are. And granted, some of them, might be valued at that price because I think for Cyberpunk you're getting the Ultimate Edition, you're getting the expansion, you're getting all that. Hitman is coming. It's all 3 games packed into one. It's they're all like Ultimate Editions. I'm not saying I back them up because obviously you can get those now at $40. But at the same time, or you can play on Steam Deck handheld. But I think for a lot of people, it's like the minute stuff, like, oh, there's a mouse mode. There's, selling those little details about, the 120 frames per second, those kind of things. But like I said, you'll see those games drop probably by the holiday season, if, most likely to where they match up to the other consoles as well. I think it's just a matter. I think it's more so. Maybe it wasn't the right time to announce them, and they could have said more first-party stuff or other things to fill in the gaps. But it's to start building that backlog and to keep those things in people in the back of their minds. Because there's some games, like for me personally, I've never played Street Fighter 6, but on Switch 2, I'm kind of enticed to buy it on Switch 2 just because I can take it on the go and hand a Joy-Con to a friend, and because that's how I did Ultra Challengers or whatever that Street Fighter 2 game was when that was a launch game. I would bring that to people's room and we'd play that arcade style, and I think that's just fun to me, like that I can easily pass one off to a friend in that situation. And then like I think another one that enticed me was Hitman. Never played it, but I'm intrigued by it. So all in all, I think yes, it's annoying about how many third parties they had, but I think it's all about building a backlog of being up to date. So when the next new player comes in,
business-wise makes total sense. I was looking at it strictly from a sales perspective. Like, how much does that actually, do third-party games actually factor in? The answer is they really don't.
No.
At least it doesn't look like it to me. The other thing,
from a sale point of view,
the other thing I was, and then we got 10 minutes and then we'll wrap up. While the Switch 2 editions of the games look cool, right? Especially the ones that needed it, which were, in my opinion, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, need those enhancements. The price of, do we even know what the price of the upgrade pack is? We know what the price of the,
yes,
well, but we know what the price of if you buy the game brand new with the upgrade
Yes.
pack, it's crazy expensive.
Yes. So we know the upgrade price though. It was
What is
announced
that?
today. $9.99 for Breath of
Great.
the Wild. So listen, for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it's $9.99
Each or together?
each.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That for if you already
because
have it.
If you already have it, yes, you'll have to pay the additional $10 with the game. But so here's the thing, there was also this weird discrepancy happening, and this has been confirmed now.
Yeah.
When you buy the game physically, it's not a digital code. The full game is on a Nintendo Switch cartridge. It is on, and everything, yeah, it's all on there. No download code. The whole
Yeah, so
game.
there was definitely that was definitely some confusion there for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad they cleared that up. Is that yeah.
No. It's all there. There's no code. No internet required.
Brian, did you see though that like so if you have to pay out, so like if you're paying for Tears of the Kingdom for the first time on Switch 2, you've never bought it before, you have to pay $80.
Or you're online and you get it for
Or
free.
online. But you still gotta buy the game. So you're paying $4.50.
Well,
and then
that's if
another
you own the game. If you own the game.
But then right, but if you already so realistically you would just buy the Switch 2 version. So that's 80. But if you already had the game, or I'm sorry, if you just bought the Switch version and you didn't buy that, it would be $4.50 and then another 70. And then if you bought the Switch Online, then you would get it. Or you could just buy $4.50 for this console and then pay 80. And then the Breath of the Wild is 70 if you don't already have the game.
Yes.
Damn.
Typically 60.
Yeah.
But so it adds the $10 in.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on that?
They're transparent. I mean, they're not gonna.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sounds
that's
like
true.
they're
They're
not
not-
gonna.
Go ahead,
They're
Brian.
not, they're giving they're basically not giving us what we asked for because nobody asked for this, but like they're being completely honest about everything, which is good. I don't know. I'm kind of like indifferent, I guess.
Can I add something to these $10 things going on? I know there's so much to talk about this, and maybe down the
Well,
line there's a part 2.
We'll have to do a part 2 maybe next week.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna become a whole Nintendo podcast at this point.
We are called Trifecta Gaming, so it would kind of be
This
in
is
line,
true.
but-
No, I just want to add quickly too. I will say, so the ones like Mario Party and Kirby, those are, if you do the math, obviously, those are obviously going to be $20. But here's the good side to all that, because compared to PlayStation, where I think that they would just do it because they want to, I think there's a lot of justification because they're adding a lot of modes or expansions to those games. Like
Yeah.
Mario Party, like, has never looked more grander. I mean, sure, you have to have the camera to play some of the modes, but they've added a whole mode.
That silly mid 2000s looking camera that they have. Oh my
It's
god.
pretty
Listen.
goofy looking.
Just hear me out though, because I know when I get that Switch 2 and I bring it over, we're all gonna play that camera game, and we're like, okay, that was silly but fun.
Yeah, the iToy level quality is what it reminds me of. The PS2
Totally.
iToy.
Totally.
It's so
But-
funny.
Beyond just that, even a Kirby, it's like it's upgraded to 4K and all that good stuff, but it's a whole story expansion. It
Yeah, the
expands
Metroid,
more on the
Metroid
game.
Prime as well upgraded to the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime, 60 frames.
Yeah.
And quality, and then performance is 120.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's not forget there are games that are getting also free updates. So, Super Mario
Yeah.
3D World's getting free update, Odyssey, ARMS,
Link's Awakening. My wife
Link's
Yes.
Awakening.
very excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what that game looks
Link's
like in
Awakening
4K.
is gorgeous already. Yeah.
It's gorgeous already, and I can't imagine because that game does struggle in places, but oh my
Frame
god, it's going to be
rate-wise,
a godsend. Can you?
Yeah.
I'm just like fathoming playing in handheld 120 frames if
Yeah.
it goes that high. That's just wild to me.
So the $10 actually, if you already have it, yeah, that's not for the but then 80. I don't know. I guess it all just depends.
It's a
on how you
tough
look
middle
at it.
ground because it's
Yeah.
like, I think for me, in my mindset, a lot of people have Breath of the Wild, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think the numbers don't lie. It's
Yeah.
what came with the console not came with it, but a lot of
Yeah,
people
you
bought
bought
that
it.
game.
Yeah.
So, and along with that, I don't know the numbers of how many people actually have Switch Online, but it's got to be a good amount.
Well,
to
let's look it up.
also
Let's end the show with this.
Okay.
Current
Make sure it's the $50.
NSO expansion pack.
There you go.
Okay, hold on. It doesn't tell me. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Sales.
Uh-oh.
All right, as of April 7th. Nope. Never mind.
Here, let me help you out here and see if I can find anything.
Okay, so NSO has over 34 million subscribers, but it doesn't look like it says approximately how many of those. It just said it got a big boost after the expansion pack came out.
Okay.
34
Yeah,
million subs, but we don't. It doesn't specify whether or not like they're subscribed specifically for that $50 price point.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be a good amount because the first thing. Well, I don't know. I like obviously you got like big game, like the next level up in games for N64 and Game Boy Color and whatnot, but there were also those DLC games too. Like Animal Crossing was huge at the time, so I think a lot of people were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
$50 a year and I get a whole expansion." And it was a pretty expansive like expansion. It was the
It's a
whole
whole game.
makeover. It's a whole game. Yeah, it's a whole game on 3DS. So if you do the math, you pay $40 for a 3DS game. I mean, it's a $10 deficit or difference, but I mean,
Yeah.
and then there's also the booster pack.
Yeah, so you get a lot in it. Let's end it there. I think that's a good place to end the show today. I would have liked to, next time, I really would like to hear more from Brian. I think Brian was pretty, you were a little quiet this time. I think Brandon and I definitely had a lot more to say about it than you
Brian,
did.
this isn't racing games.
I know, no racing games,
And Brian,
no sports games.
Just for transparency, Brian is just as big of a Switch fan as the three of us are, or as the other two of us are.
Yeah.
Brian has played his fair share of Switch. He's not going to say that, but he has. Brian's a Switch guy. Don't let him fool you.
And but Brian, I vouch for you because like I've never heard somebody play so many third-party games like you do on Switch. Like when you told me you played Borderlands, I was like, there's no way this guy's playing a whole game of Borderlands, and you're telling me it runs.
It runs so well.
It runs so well, and it almost enticed me to buy it on Switch because I want to get into Borderlands too. It's just that was crazy to me. But I'm glad you're a prime example of like there is a market out there for people who are buying third-party games.
Yeah.
But again, you probably bought it. Again, I'm extending this, but you probably bought it when it was on sale. Obviously, that's what I'm taking, right?
I don't know. I think I got it as like a Christmas gift.
Oh well, there you go.
I think like within the first year of it coming out. I think first or second year.
But I feel like that's when they drop. I feel like it only takes about 6 months, and then they start to be in line with their other publisher sales. You know. Anyways, sorry. We'll probably have to do a part 2 of this. Do we want to do this next week?
Oh,
let's do it.
Yeah, we can do this next week.
Next week, join us for part 2 of this conversation because probably going to be more stuff that comes out in the next 7 days with the Switch. Every day it's changing.
Every day it's changing.
I'm going to end this now because I got to piss real bad. So thank you so much for watching. It's been a great show. And I have to go to the bathroom. So I'll see you later.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.